Okay, good evening, dear students, Mr. Ahmadi and Mr. Nuristani. I don't see anybody else in the class. I can see Mr. Asadullah Ahmadi saying whether I sent the chapters. Yes, I did send all of the chapters to all of you. I'm wondering whether you received them or not because the question shows that you haven't received anything. So can you hear me? Yes, students, can you hear me? Please write down yes. Okay. So, Nuristani, how about that? Welcome to class. Last semester you were in both of my classes. How have you been, guys? I hope that everything goes very well in your life. Perfect, Mr. Ahmadi. I did good, Mr. Nuristani. He's still not around. We just, because there's no sign showing that he's listening to us. Anyway, welcome to the class. I'm not sure whether you attended the first session or not, but today we are going to start the first, actually, main critical discussion on the whole economic class. And okay, I'm sorry that because of internet we couldn't attend the first one. I hope that from now on you won't have any problem attending classes. So because we have lots of slides to cover, I'm not going to spend more than this time explaining. Let's start the class. As we go to the as we proceed, if there are additional explanation, I will definitely explain. So here you are. This is chapter 2. As you can see, demand and supply. We are going to discuss these two main, actually classic terms in economics perfectly today, and you will be able to understand the whole concept. After this lecture, you will be able to explain the influence on demand, explain the influences on supply, explain how demand and supply determine prices and quantity bought and sold, use demand and supply to make prediction about changes in price and quantity. So today, basically, we are going to discuss different aspects of demand and supply curve, linear curve. We will start with demand. What is demand? As you can see, if you demand something, then you want it, can afford it, and have made a definite plan to buy it. You see, it's not just a matter of want it. You have to be able to afford it, and then also you have the plan to buy it. Wants are the unlimited desires or wishes people have for goods and services. Demand reflects a decision about which ones to satisfy. So basically, wants, you may just imagine you're thirsty. This is your need. Wants, you may want to satisfy this need by drinking water, by drinking milk, by drinking any syrup, or by drinking, for example, Coca-Cola. So these are all different ones, but what you can afford is actually your demand. So just imagine, because you don't have money to pay more for milk, Coca-Cola, or any other carbonated drink or juice, you will end up drinking water. That means because you couldn't afford any other of the choices that you have as wants, and you ended up paying for your basically water. So this is how wants is going to be different from demand. The quantity demanded of a good or services is the amount that consumers plan to buy during a particular time period and at a particular price. So this is the quantity demand. How much you want to buy at a specific time and a specific price, that is the quantity demand. Okay? So this quantity demand is actually one of the main keywords that today we're going to learn about that more and more. So let's talk about demand and see how it can be determined. What determines buying plan? The amount of any particular good or services the consumer plan to buy is influenced by, you see, any of these can affect whether you buy something or not. So the demand decision will be affected. The price of the good by itself. Okay, the higher the price is, definitely the lower your demand for that product. And this is a very, very obvious relationship. So demand and price have very negative opposite relationship. The higher the price, the lower the demand. The lower the price, the higher the demand. The prices of other goods, sometimes you have some complementary goods, you have sometimes substitute goods. Substitute, we are going to explain this all later on, but these are the things. When the prices of those items are changing, sometimes the demand for the product is also changing. Expected future prices, what you think about future, income level of you, definitely is part of that, population as a general factor, and preferences as a basically basic customer. You have different preferences, and that causes you to buy different things in different quantity and different shape. So we have something called the law of demand. Later on we'll talk about the law of supply. So today, as I told you, our two main keywords are demand and supply, and whatever is related to these two phenomena in basic economics, business economics. The law of demand states other things remaining the same, the higher the price of the good, the smaller is the quantity demanded. The other things remaining the same means in lab environment, in a situation that other factors are fixed. In that kind of situation, there is a very, very straight relationship between, actually there is a direct relationship between demand and price. But this direct relationship doesn't necessarily mean we have a complete impact, but the relationship, the direction is different. Means if the price goes up, definitely demand will be affected, but in negative opposite direction. So if the price goes up, the demand goes down, or vice versa. If the price goes down, the price goes up. Yeah, demand goes up. So very basic thing. So this is how the system works. The law of demand results from a substitution effect or an income effect. That is another law of demand result. We're going to discuss this later on in detail. But to this extent, because all of these slides are well explaining all of the things, I'm not going to explain now everything in detail. Then we have to repeat them again. But what is the substitution effect? What is the income effect? Okay, the first effect is substitution effect. When relative price opportunity cost of a good or services rises, people seek substitute for it. So the quantity demand is it. This is one of the basic demand rules in effects. Simply, when you see the items that you've been buying before, the prices is going up, normally and naturally you try to substitute that with something else. So the quantity of that normal, basically the demand that you have before is definitely reducing. Very simple. Previously, just imagine you were taking rice, and it was your main item in your carbohydrate consumption pattern every day. And because the rice price, let's just make sure that you because the prices of let me just make sure that everybody on is going to mute everybody and mute. Yes. So very simple. I was talking about the rice. If the rice price goes up, as normally you try to substitute rice with something like, for example, you tend to buy more the substitute of rice, which is bread. That means the demand for rice decreases. This is substitution effect. Because the price of rice is up, you tend to buy the substitution, and definitely your demand for rice goes down. Income effect is another effect derived from the same law, saying that if the price of goods or services rises relative to income, People cannot afford all the things they previously bought, so the quantity demand is increased. Very simple again. Just imagine you have inflation in your country, and for any reason, certain products that you've been buying, like the food price, has been increased. By the way, your salary didn't change. Means with the same salary that you were getting, now you have more expensive products to buy. So you cannot afford buying. Just imagine over a month, as a normal customer, you buy around 20 kg different type of fruits. And your salary can afford paying this much for fruits. And because this month you have inflation, you won't be able to buy the same amount of fruit simply because you cannot afford it. The prices of them are higher, so you cannot afford it. So your demand for the fruit in the new month, because of the higher prices in fruit, decrease. That is what we call income effect. Okay. So let's go further. Demand curve and demand schedule. The term demand refers to the entire relationship between the price of the good and quantity demanded of the good. We call this demand curve. Okay? So from now on, whenever we say demand curve, we're talking about the relationship between price and quantity of a certain product. A demand curve shows the relationship between quantity demanded of a good and its prices when all other influences on consumers plan purchases remain the same. Again, whenever we're going to talk about any relationship, pay attention to this. We consider other factors being the same and not changed. That's why we can talk about a direct relationship, immediate relationship, and the relationship that we can say 100% will happen. So a demand curve shows the relationship between quantity demand of a good and price, and all other influences on customer plan purchases remain the same. So look at this. This is the demand curve. As you can see, different points on that simply shows different prices having different quantities. You see, the higher the price is in dot, the place E on the curve. If you look at the dot E, the first dot on top, when the demand, the price is 2.5, whatever it is. This is per price dollars per, for example, this. We're talking about CDR, as you can see, compact discs, that they're, okay, CDs. If the CD price is 2.5, the quantity or demand for that is 2. As you can see, the price goes down to 2, the demand increases to 4. If the price goes to 1.5, the demand goes higher to 6. And point number 8 is the time that the price is $0.50 cents, and the demand is something between 8 to 10. That basically shows the relationship between the basically the price and demand for the product. So the figure shows a demand curve for recordable compact discs. As you can see, CDRs are recordable compact discs, means you can record again on it. A rise in the price, other things remaining the same, brings a decrease in the quantity demand and movement along the demand curve. So if you look at that from right to left, the rises, when the prices are rising, you can see the demand goes lower. So A is the first place that we were when the demand was something between 8 to 10 millions of these per week. But as time passed and the price increased, the demand decreased. You can see the second demand point is on B, and that is lower than A. And it goes up to the point that the price is the maximum level and demand reaches the minimum level of what, which is 2, number E. So a demand curve is also a willingness and ability to buy curve. The smaller the quantity available, the higher is the price that someone is willing to pay for another unit. So willingness to pay measures marginal benefit. Usually, you don't mind paying higher for things that they are scarce. Means you will be able, or you are willing to pay things for things that you think they are scarce in terms of quantity. This is another rule and another fact about the relationship between the price and demand. So look at here, we are going to discuss more about details of how the demand and relationship between that is working. Okay, I can see here there is a question. Miss Vida Sami said what is marginal benefit. Marginal benefit is the profit or the benefit you seek in any purchase. So when you're talking about basically here, as you're talking about the last paragraph, willingness to pay measures marginal benefit. Usually based on how much you're willing to pay for the product, the marginal benefit out of that product will be detected. Like if people are willing to pay very much for products that they believe it's worth to be purchased, then there is a good marginal benefit for that product for the product provider. Very simple. Just imagine if you are paying for a luxurious product or luxurious, for example, dining, a fine dining. You see, you can have food which is going to cost you, for example, $5, which is a basic food. Or you can buy this for the same dinner. You can buy a dinner which is going to cost you $200. It's an absolute different change. And the reason why you're willing to pay is because you believe there is a value in that $200 dinner. So you see, the more willingness to pay for those type of things, the higher the margin will be. Do you understand, Ms. Vida Sami? Okay, welcome. Let's go for changes in demand. When any factor that influences buying plans other than the price of the good changes, there is a change in demand for that good. Okay, so very simple. If any factor that influences buying plans other than the price of the good changes, there is a change in demand for that good. So, but let's see what are those changes. The quantity of the good that people plan to buy changes at each and every price. So there is a new demand curve. So you need to know there are other factors than price that can influence your demand for the product. But because this demand curve shows the relationship between price and basically demand, you won't be able to see those changes on the curve by itself, but the curve can be moved to right or left. Let's explain this more. When demand increases, the quantity that people plan to buy increases at each and every prices, so the demand curve shifts right there. Very simple. So if you just imagine the general demand increases, the quantity that people plan to buy increases at each and every price. So you don't mind about the price anymore. It's all matter of demand by itself. So because this is something beyond the price, then just demand will go to right. It's a basic thing. Demand increases in the whole society. Just imagine there is a new technology, and this new technology may take you to different basically level, okay, and that cause you to have different level of demand. So that is another reason why you can have the demand shifted to right or left. So I will explain this later on by showing you in the place, but let's finish the state. When demand decreases, the quantity that people plan to buy decreases at each and every price. So it means the price is here neutral, doesn't matter. This is just about the whole idea of the demand. Very simple. Just for any reason, people are willing to buy more of certain product like ice cream because there are very good advertisement on certain ice cream. So, and there is no changes in price. Just simply because people see the new ice cream pie in the on TV, they may think this is different. So the general demand about ice cream goes up. When the general demand about the ice cream goes up, people may buy ice cream without thinking about how much the price is. Okay, so this is the general impact on the price. Look at here, the factors that change the demand are prices of related goods. This is one of the basic factors that can influence the price. Very simple. You may have a substitute for product. You may have complements of the product. Substitute means the product that you can use instead of. the product by itself. So it can be used in place of another. A complement is good that is used in conjunction with another. So you use the complement to complement the product that you're using. You substitute to replace that. So if you know these two basic definitions of these related goods, then you can see the influence of these related goods on the demand of the product by itself. As you can see, when the price of substitute for CD rises, just imagine if CD has another substitute like, for example, MP3 player, and you have the CDs and you have you have, for example, pen drive. Pen drive is a better example. Just imagine if the price for pen drive increases, which is the substitute of CD, so more people are coming back to buy CD simply because substitute is more expensive. But we have something called complement as well, like CD burner. Okay, if the price of the complement of CD recorder falls, then people are more willing to buy the CDs because at least they can get two tasks done by two products that one of them is cheaper now. Okay, do you understand the whole thing? For example, if the CD by itself has the same price, what CD burner means the machine that helps you to burn CDs. The price of that goes down, means the whole package of CD and CD burner is cheaper. So people are willing to buy that more to get better benefits. So did you see the influence of substitute products or goods and complement goods and the demand? Now I'm going to show you through the linear curve. Very simple. Look at the linear curve that you have here and the shift that you have. The figure shows the shift in demand curve for CDRs when the price of CD burner falls. When the price of CD burners falls means the price of the complement product or related goods decreased. When that decrease means the whole package of CD and CD burner seems cheaper, so people are willing to buy the CD more. So the demand for CD increases. That's why you can see there is a shift from the blue linear curve to red linear curve, simply because the whole package seems cheaper. And because the CD burner is a complement of CDR, the demand for CDR now increases. Did you all understand the whole item? Okay, let's go further on. Demand expected future prices. If this is another factor that influences the demand definitely, and that is the expected rise in future prices. If you know certain item is going to be more expensive in future, then you tend to buy now more. That is another impact that comes from expected future prices. So that is also influencing your demand. If the price of a good is expected to rise in future, current demand increases and demand curve shift rise on. It can be vice versa. If you know in future the price of the good is going to decrease, then you tend to buy the product less now. Because you believe if you buy it in future, you will feel having losses. Let's see the influence of income on the demand. When income increases, consumers buy more of most goods and the demand curve shifts right up. This is again another general impact on the curve. Simply when you have more money, you buy more product. So the demand for any of your product purchase is increasing. And normal good is one of for which the demand increases, income increases. So we have typically two types of products: normal product and inferior product. If your income increases, usually your demand for normal product increases. But we have inferior product as well, the product which is not as good as normal product. You usually buy it because you don't have one normal product. So if your income goes high, you tend to not buy that inferior product anymore. So demand for inferior product when your income goes up is lower. So let me see what Mr. Nursen said. You can also control market price through this strategy. Income increases, demand also increases. Yes, inferior item, for example, just imagine a typical basic food per day is gonna cost you $5. But because you cannot afford buying that $5 meal, you tend to buy a cheaper sandwich from somebody in the street who makes it and make it very cheap in $2. That sandwich definitely is not in good quality. So it's not a normal product. You buy it in $2 because you don't have money to buy a good product or a basic normal product. So that will be called inferior product. Just imagine when your income level goes high, you don't go and buy the same cheap product double. You will go and buy a better product. So that is what inferior good means. Okay? Did you understand, Miss Vida Sami? Yes, that is also nice example, Mr. Understand. For example, you have a basic Nokia because you couldn't afford buying BlackBerry or iPhones or things like that. But when your product, your income increases, you don't go and buy two of those basic Nokia. You go and tend to buy a better product, which is as, for example, iPhone or BlackBerry or Samsung and things like that. So demand, population. The larger the population, the greater is demand for all goods. This is another important factor on the whole demand linear curve without having relationship with the price. So you see the population of a country is higher, the demand for that product. That's why countries that they are the most populated one in the world are usually the best place and destination for most of the businesses. Simply because if you even get the local market, you already became highly benefited from the whole thing. That's why most of the countries, companies in the world are trying to go to countries and markets like China, India, Brazil, and things like that, simply because you have the higher density, a higher population. So generally, the product that you're selling is going to have a higher demand. Preferences. People with the same income have different demands if they have different preferences. Again, another important factor on the demand for product, regardless of price, is preferences. You may have enough money, but you're not gonna choose certain product because simply you don't like that product. So it's not, you don't prefer that product. Okay? So that is the influence of preferences on the demand as well. So again, look at here. This is a typical linear curve. Now we're gonna talk about the other the type of changes that we may have, which is on the whole linear curve by itself. A change in quantity demand versus a change in demand. As you can see, figure 3.3, which is this figure, illustrates the distinction between a change in demand and change in quantity of demand. You see, you had initially that one. If the price of goods changes and everything else remains the same, as you remember the first rule that we were discussing, there is a change in quantity demanded and a movement along the demand curve. So as you can see, if the price goes higher, your quantity of demand will go lower. As you can see from dot to the higher red dot, we have increasement in the price, so we have decreases in quantity demand. And it can be vice versa. If from the black dot to red dot, which is the lower red dot, we had better price, so we had higher quantity of demand. It's a basic thing that the beginning we explained. So we can have this movement on the linear curve by itself, or we can have any of these movements to right or left. So we can have the whole linear curve being shifted to the right or being shifted to the left. How this happens? When one of the other factors, but price changes, okay, then you don't have any movement on linear curve by itself, because that linear curve changes on that shows different price and different quantity of demand. But the moment that you go out of that, and you have other factors influencing demand, then that linear curve, you don't move on that anymore. You change the position of whole demand, because the whole demand, regardless of what price is going to be changed. Price is the same, but people basically have a better income level. So you have higher demand for that product in any price, whatever it is. That's why you go from D0 to D1. And if for any other reason demand for the product decreases, we go from D0 to D2. For example, it could be any of those things that we said. Preferences of people buying your product is changed. So they don't want to buy your product anymore simply because there are better substitution. Or for example, subsidy for your product seems cheaper, so people are not going to buy your product anymore. Or compliments of your product seems more expensive. Again, the package of buying your product and the compliments seems more expensive. Again, people are not going to buy your product. So for any of these reasons, you can be shifted to the right or left. As far as it's nothing to do with the price, then the shift, it's not going to be on the this blue linear curve, demand quantity curve anymore. It's going to be on shifting of the whole linear curve to right or left. So far we talk about different aspects of demand. Now we're going to hit another main keyword in this chapter, which is supply. So you see, most of the rules and things that you had about demand is going to be exactly vice versa when it comes to supply. The very basic difference is the price. Previously, the higher the price, the lower the quantity of demand. But here, the higher the price, the higher the supply is. Because supply is going to be done by producers or service providers. The higher the price goes, they have more incentive why they have to sell that product. That's why you can see supply is more. But let's talk about that more in detail. If a firm supplies the goods or services, then the firm has the resources and the technology to produce it, can profit from producing it, and has made a definite plan to produce and sell it. So these are the basic conditions for supply to be done, like exactly the same thing that we were discussing about the demand. So, but there are other issues that you have to tackle. As you can see, resources and technology determine what is possible to produce, and supply reflects the decision about which technologically feasible items to produce. The quantity supplies of a good or services is the amounts that the producers plan to sell during a given time period at a particular price. How much laptop is going to be sold by a certain producer in a specific period of time using a specific type of technology. Okay, that is the quantity supply. So these are the items that are actually affecting your selling plans. The amount of any particular good or services that a firm plans to supply is influenced by this. The price of the good. So the higher the price of the good, the higher the supply, the quantity of supply, because when you see there is higher price, so there are more incentives to do that. So if you want to amount of any particular good or services that you have as a firm, will be definitely, a firm plans to supply is going to be definitely supply. If you put yourself now, you see previously whatever discussion we had was about the demand and relationship between demand and plan. And that time customer was the side that you were discussing. Now just imagine this is your side as a supplier or as a company. So now you can simply see if the price goes up, as a business holder or business owner, you tend to sell more of that product because you see a better margin of benefit out of that. So that's why there is a good relationship here. So if the price goes up, the supply goes up. The prices of resources needed to produce it, if those goes up, because your profit margin goes down, then you tend to have less supply. The prices of related goods produced. If you have related goods, you have substitution as well as complementary. Now we are going to discuss that later on again as like demand. Expected future prices in future, that definitely influences supply quantity, the number of suppliers, and available technology. So one by one we'll discuss all of them. The first one is law of supply. The law of supply states other things remaining the same, the higher the price, again considering the lab environment, mean laboratory condition, and assuming that the rest of the items are going to be remain the same, the higher the price is, the greater is the quantity of supply. That means there is a relationship, and the relationship is a direct relationship. When it goes up, it's a positive relationship. See, we can have direct relationship and positive and negative relationship. Definitely, the price and quantity of demand and price and quantity of supply, both of them have direct relationship. Well, one of them is positive direct relationship, the other one is negative direct relationship. Positive direct relationship means it changes in this, definitely changes the other one, and positively means if this one is positive, the other one is positive. Negatively, direct negative relationship means if you change this, the other one also changes, but in the opposite direction. So if the price goes up, as you know, the demand quantity goes down. But if the price goes up, the supply quantity goes up as well. The law of supply results from the general tendency for the marginal cost of producing goods or services to increase as the quantity produced increases. So this basic law tells you that general tendency for marginal cost of producing a good or services to increase as the quantity produced increases. So when the quantity increases, the cost also increases. That's the basic. Producers are willing to supply only if they at least cover their marginal cost of production. Very simple. You won't supply anything except this basic condition is there. You get something more than your basic cost, because you don't want to work for nothing. You want, for example, you produce for example, you give food to people. So the price that you're asking definitely has to cover not only your cost and adding additional value, because that's why you're working. If you make the food and you sell it as much as it costs, so there's no benefit in that. So there's no point of you doing that. So all the time, the basic actually motive for any supplier supplying anything is the marginal cost and marginal profit. Okay. So supply curve and supply schedule. The term supply refers to the entire relationship between quantity supply and the price of the good. As you can see, exactly the same way that we described the demand, but this is the relationship, as I told you. This is the positive relationship, that one was negative. The supply curve shows the relationship between quantity supplied of the good and its price, and all other influences on producers' planned sales remain the same. So look at this. This is the typical supply linear curve. The figure shows the supply curve of recordable compacted, as you can see, the same item. Now you're selling it. It's not about buying the item anymore. Here, the prices goes higher, the supply quantity goes higher as well. A rise in the price, other things remaining the same, brings an increase in the quantity supplied and the movement along the supply curve. As you can see, dots, which is called A. Dots A is the first one, is when the price is 0.50 cents, 50 cents or $0.5, the quantity is almost zero. So you're not willing to sell anything in this price, simply because you don't think that it covers even the basic cost. And you start selling that product when it goes beyond 0.50, because that is the time that you start creating profit. So you see, when you go to the dots, which is called dots named B, you have higher quantity because simply the price is higher. The price goes from 0.50 cents to $1, so you tend to sell more. Then you go C, 1.5, you sell almost more than 4. You go to price of $2, you sell almost 5, or near to the 6. This is millions of this per week. And the price goes near $2.5 per this. You tend to sell something between 6 to 8 million this per week. So you can see the relationship between supply of CDRs when the price goes up. So a supply curve is also a minimum supply price curve. The greater the quantity produced, the higher is the price that a firm must be offered to be willing to produce that quantity. So this is really, really, really important. The greater the quantity produced, the higher is the price that a firm must be offered to be willing to produce that quantity. So you are giving a higher price and a higher quantity. Okay, so this is the supply rule. A change in supply. When any factor that influences selling plans other than the price of goods changes, there is a change in supply. And the quantity of that good that producers plans to sell, the quantity of the goods that producers plan to sell changes at each and every price. So there is a new basically supply curve. When supply increases, the quantity that producers plan to sell increases at each and every price, so the supply curve shifts to. As you can see, it's in detail, well written. So, but more or less the same concept that we had for demand. Again, very simple. If anything but price changes, and that changes influence the supply, again the linear curve is going to be shifted to the right or left. The same concept that we had before, but this is about the supply. Okay, so when supply decreases, the quantity that producers plan to sell decrease at each every price. So the supply curve shifts leftward. And so, for example, just imagine supply decreases for any reason. The quantity that producers plan to sell decreases at each of every price. So you will end up shifting this linear supply linear curve to the left. The factors that change supply are prices of productive resources. So just imagine if the price of resources that you use to produce a good rises, then the minimum price that the supplier is willing to accept for producing each quantity of the good rises. So a rise in the price of productive resources decreases supply and shifts the supply curve leftward. Very simple. If you because you see everything is based on the profit you make. If the resources that you want to use to make the product, they tend to be more expensive, or they happen to be more expensive, and simply because you have lower profit, you tend to sell less, supply less. That's why the whole linear curve shifted to the left. Will be shifted to the left. And prices of related good products. A substitute again and complement. A substitute is production for a good is another good that can be produced using the same resources. Goods are complements in production if they must be produced together. The supply of a good increase and its supply curve shifts rightward if the price of substitute in production falls. So very simple. If the price of your substituted product, okay, increase, if the supply of a good increases and its supply curve shifted rightward, if the price of the substitute in production falls, the price of complement in production also rises. So it's more or less like the same concept that you have for demand as well, but the way that they put it in the second paragraph is a little complicated. Very, very simple will be the supply of good increases in two possible ways. If the price of substitute in production falls, okay, so or the price of complement production rises, okay. So any of these two, your supply will be shifted rightward, and the simple reason is for the first one, for example, if you can see a substitute or a product, if the price goes higher, means people are not really willing to buy that, so they are willing to come and buy your product, so means you can sell more of your product. So that's why you will be shifted rightward. Again, if the complement of your product, the price goes lower, again the higher chance of making profit, people are willing to buy that product more, So the higher chance of making profit out of the whole package. That's why again you will be shifted to the right. And let's look at the expected future prices. If you think the price of a good is expected to fall in the future, you tend to supply it now more. It's very simple, and you will be shifted rightward. The number of suppliers in the future, the larger number of the suppliers is going to be in the future, definitely the lower the chance for you to make profit. That's why again, the greater in the supply of the good, and then increase in the number of suppliers, shift the supply curve rightward. Simply because, as you can see, the larger the number of suppliers of a good, the greater is the supply of the good. So an increase in the number of suppliers shift the supply curve rightward. Again, you will be shifted rightward. And now the final factor will be technology. Advances in technology create new products and lower the cost of the producing existing products. Again, a better incentives to make products. So they increase supply and shift the supply curve rightward. So look at here. We're going to show it semantically. The figure shows how an advance in the technology for producing recordable CDs increases the supply of CDs. As you can see, there is a better technology to make the CDs, so that making CDs cheaper and more profitable. That's why there will be a shift in the whole linear curve of supply to the right. That's why you see the blue one tend to be in red. So please let me know if you have any questions so far, because we were tackling different questions so far. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions? Please let me know in the... Okay. Everything is crystal clear. Okay, perfect. Please let me know if there is a question, because this is all more critical thinking and discussion. It's not a typical PowerPoint slide, and it's all about reasoning and rationale behind the whole thing. If you don't understand any part, please let me know, and I can explain. So a change in the quantity supply versus a change in supply. Again, now we're going to discuss the changes that may happen on the linear curve by itself. So definitely when we are talking about this kind of changes, we are talking about the price and supply quantity relationship. The figure illustrates the distinction between a change in supply and the change in quantity supply. Look at here. You may go up or you may go low if the price goes higher or lower. If the price goes higher, then you tend to sell more. So then you will be from dots, black dot to red dot, which is higher in upper dot. And if the price goes lower, you tend to sell less, simply because the profit is less. So why you have to make that so low? So when the price of the good changes, other influence on selling plans, and a change in the quantity supply and the movement, we can see in the page. So now we're going to talk about the shifts that may happen, the whole linear curve from going to right side or going to left side. Again, anything but price here is going to be changed, because if anything in price change, the changes will be on linear curve by itself. But if anything else, like the number of suppliers, the substitute product, the complement product, things like that changes, then you may have the whole linear curve being shifted to the right or left. And one of the other factors that influences selling plans changes, there is a change in supply and a shift of the supply curve. So it could be any of those factors that we just explained, and you may have this going perfectly the same thing. But now we're going to talk about something called market equilibrium. What is market equilibrium? Equilibrium is a situation in which opposing forces balance each other, and that moment equilibrium in the market occurs when the price balance the plans of buyers and sellers. the moment that you are willing to sell your product as a supplier, and the moment that your buyers or customers are willing to pay your product as a consumer, that is the point that supply linear curve and demand linear curve are going to cross each other. So that specific quantity-wise and price-wise dots give you two specific indicators. Price and quantity is the place that equilibrium happens. When QS equals to QD, means linear curve of supply equals linear curve of supply, demand, means how much is the quantity that buyers are willing to pay and suppliers are willing to sell, the price and quantity. So the equivalent price is the price at which the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied. As you can see, I just explained, the equivalent quantity is the quantity bought and sold at the same equivalent price. Price regulates buying and selling plans. Price also adjusts when plans don't match. So look at here, as you can see that specific dot, when supply of CDRs and demand of them reach each other. Okay, that point is the point that we call it equivalent. So you see any specific dots which is higher than that in terms of position in the figure is the time that we have surplus in quantity. As you can see, surplus of 2 million discs of $2 per disc price. But in 1.5, you won't have any surplus. You don't have any deficit as well, because suppliers and demanders are willing to send the same to buy the product and actually exchange the product in the same time. Can you hear me properly, Mr. Ali? Everybody else can hear me? Yes, I see Mr. Nuri and Ali Nuri saying up. Okay, look at this. Now we're going to talk about deficit, shortage. Okay, any dots lower than equivalent dots, which is the middle dot, is going to show the shortage of 3 million discs of $1 each. $1 each, you may have almost. You see the difference would be a shortage of 3 million discs or $1 at $1 basic price, simply because the quantity will be 4 in equilibrium when the price is 1.5. So when the price is 1, quantity is around 2.5 to 6. So, 3 to 6. So that's why 3 million disc shortage. And the same thing on top. When you have the price 1.5, quantity is 4. When you have the price 2, the quantity is something between 4 to 6. That's why 2 million surplus you may have. If the price of a disc is 1.5, the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied, and there is neither a shortage nor a surplus of this. But if price adjustment, if any of these not happening, then you will see that there is a surplus or shortage. At prices above the equivalent, a surplus forces, as you can see, the price down, and at prices below the equivalent, a shortage forces the price up. Very simple. When you have surplus in something, simply means your price goes lower. Just imagine, suddenly one country imported so many air conditioners. So because there are lots of air conditioners in the market, suppliers have to sell it cheaper to be able to sell it to customers. And just imagine it's a summertime and not enough number of air conditioners were imported to the country. It means you have shortage. People are willing to buy, but you don't really have enough. So you tend to bring the price higher because you can make more profit, and people are still willing to buy. that there is a shortage. So do you understand the whole difference between shortage and surplus? At the equivalent price, buying plant and selling plant agree and the price doesn't change. In equivalent, that doesn't really change because we don't have shortage or we don't have surplus. So because the price rises if it is below equilibrium, falls if it's above equilibrium, and remains constant if it is at equilibrium, the price is pulled toward equilibrium and remains there until some event changes. So you don't have changes in equilibrium except there are other factors but price. For example, as I told you, price is more or less the same. So when you find based on quantity of supply and demand and certain price equilibrium, this equilibrium may be changed if other factors influence supply or demand, not the price by itself anymore. So look at here, we're going to now explain a change in demand and see how that is going to influence the equilibrium. As you can see over there, previously at price of 1.5 and 4 million discs per week, we have equilibrium. Well, for any reason, we had increase in demand. For example, the complementary product is cheaper, so people are buying to buy that product more. So there is an increasement in demand. So we will see the linear curve of demand will be shifted to the right. As you can see, blue goes to the right. So as this one goes to the right, then it doesn't cross the supply linear curve in the same place anymore. You can see it crossed the linear curve at a point around 7 million or more than 6 million discs per week and the price of 2.5. So that is the new equilibrium. If we want to explain this incident easily, it will be this. Because the demand has gone up, means people are willing to buy the product for any reason higher, not because of price. For any other reason, they are willing to buy the product more, means supply can make more money. And the equivalent will go from $1.5 dollar per disc to 2.5, and from quantity of 4 million per week to 6 million. Okay? That is how equilibrium can be changed. So we may have this example for other type. Look at here. The price rises and the quantity supplied increases. That is the basic thing that I was going to say. Look at here. Now we're going to have an example for supply. Just imagine for any reason supply of a certain product increases. Okay, and if you look at again, the equivalent was $1.5 per disc and 4 million discs per week. If for any reason suppliers they are willing to sell more product. Very simple reason can be the complement goes cheaper, so people are willing to buy more. So suppliers are going to sell it more. That reason causes you to have higher supplies. So simply you will go from the left one to the right. You can see from the blue to the red. The new supply will change. So previously the equivalent was 1.54, but because this time you tend to, for any reason, supply more because you believe you have more profit waiting for you, the price goes lower to $1 per disc, and the quantity goes more to 6 million per week. Okay, so an increase in supply shift the supply curve rightward, and it creates a surplus at the original price. So we will have the surplus at the original price. As you can see, if you want to sell 1.5, definitely you will have surplus. You have to sell it 1 to be able to sell it, which is 6 million per week. So the price falls and the quantity demanded increases. People are willing to buy more because it seems cheaper. There are more supply in the market. Why not? Okay. So let's talk about predicting change in price and quantity. We can even predict the changes in price and quantity in future. A change in both demand and supply. Look at here, we have again the two typical linear curves that we have for supply and change. And still the example is about compact disc writable one, CDR recordable one, sorry. A charge in both demand and supply changes equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, but we need to know the relative magnitude then of the changes to predict some of the consequences. If just imagine something happens that both demand and supply changes, you need to exactly know how much each of them changed, then means the magnitude, you have to know the magnitude of each, then you will be able to predict the consequences in detail. If I just simply say supply was more and demand was more also, then we may shift the whole thing to the right, but you don't know exactly if it's going to be the same price and higher quantity or higher price or lower price and higher quantity. So you don't really know that. You have to see the magnitude. Means you have to exactly know how much supply was shifted, how much demand was shifted, the whole linear graph. So again, very good example here. As you can see, this is a point that both linear curves, supply and demand, both of them were shifted, and both of them were shifted to the right. Means that we had increasement in both of them. The figure shows the effects of a change in both demand and supply in the same direction. Means both of them have increasement. An increase in both demand and supply increases the equilibrium quantity, but has an uncertain effect on the equilibrium price. Very simple reason is because you don't know whether you will end up having the same price equilibrium, because you don't know how much these two have changed. If the supply changes more and demand, then the price definitely goes lower. If the demand is changed more than supply, means people are willing to buy more than how much suppliers are going to sell, then price goes higher. So you don't really know except you know what is the magnitude. Is there anybody who have a question about that? This fact? Is it clear? Everybody? Why I'm saying you cannot exactly predict what is the price changes, whether it goes higher, it goes the same, or goes lower, when both of the suppliers and demand curve, they are going to be shifted to right. Everybody, please write that in the part. I can ask randomly as well. Miss Nadia, Mr. Mr. Javid, sorry, Mr. Samir, Mr. Nuristani. Okay, thank you, Miss Vida. Muhammad Sahab. Welcome to class, Mr. Muhammad Sahab. Then notice that fact. So I do believe that everybody kind of knows. Please let me know if you don't understand any of these discussions being held in the class, because I won't be able to see it because we don't have that facial impression and face-to-face discussion. In a normal typical class, you can simply see the impression of a student facially even without any talking, but in this type of classes, as you know, that is not possible, so I have to ask you one by one whether you understood it or not. Please let me know if you don't understand any concept. That is economics. It's definitely more complicated than internet marketing that you had before, or leadership. Those that they had these classes with me, they know the concepts are much easier there. Here, the concepts are more complicated, and I do believe I have to explain it more, but if there is any chance that you don't understand any part, please don't hesitate to ask. Definitely not knowing it is a problem, but asking that definitely is not any problem. So let's go further. We talk about another situation when we have a decrease in demand but increase in supply. The figure shows the effects of a change in both demand and supply when the change is opposite direction. It's not the same direction anymore. Previously, as you could remember, was here. Both of them, they have the same direction. Both of them have been increased. But here, one is increased, one is decreased. Okay? So an increase in supply and a decrease in demand lowers the equivalent price, but has an uncertain effect on the equivalent quantity. Here, you know for sure the price goes lower, but quantity you don't know. If the amount of the decreasement in demand is more than the increasement in supply, for sure the quantity is gonna be decreased. If the increasement in supply is more than the decreasement in demand, again quantity is gonna go higher. That's why you can see the price is the same, but you may, if the supply is more, you may have surplus or you may have deficit. Okay, so very simple explanation here is this: if both supply and demand are gonna be changed, definitely equilibrium is gonna be changed. But if they are both in the same direction, we know more or less about the price, but we don't know about the quantity and exactly whether it's going to be more or low. Okay, but if uncertain effect will be on the price, but quantity will be increased or decreased. It depends on which one goes more, and vice versa. If we have opposite directions of change in one, then you may have one. You can see, for example, the supply of CD, both of them used to be in blue, but they are changed. See, blue one previously was the place that both of them have the 6 million per week, and the price was 2.5. So now this demand was decreased to $2, the same price, and basically the supply also was the increase to more one. So you can see the equivalent here is in the same quantity, the price goes around 1. Okay, so you may, if then it depends, whether the price is exactly the same, the quantity is exactly the same or not, we don't really know. But we know definitely there is a decreasement in the price of each disk. But we don't know exactly we can sell it in the same price, in the same quantity or not. If the definitely supply shifts more to the right and demand goes less to the left, then definitely we have higher quantity to be sold. But if you have demand more to the left and supply less to the right, then demand is going to overcome the changes of supply, then the quantity definitely is decreased. I hope that I could explain this part more. Okay, Mr. Samijan, yeah, please ask the rest of the class if there is any announcement at the end of the class. Okay, guys, by explaining this part, we finished the whole chapter of demand and supply. Definitely, if you have any questions, please let me know now. If not, then I will announce some certain things that I announced in the first session, and you might miss it because you didn't attend the class. Okay, if you don't have any question, as most of you, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't come to the first session. I'm going to discuss again one more time our group project. Those that they had class with me, they know how my style is. My deadline usually is the week 8, and we have maximum 1 week chance for delay or student. and after that we try to finalize all of the marks by week 10. That is simply a win-win situation for both you and us to be able to finalize the mark as soon as possible. There were some students having difficulties seeing their marks previously, and they send me an email. Then I try to clarify, and like Mr. Riaz, if I don't make a mistake, I do believe now you are able to see your mark. Apparently, there was a problem in announcing the marks. They didn't announce your mark. I think you were in the same class with Ms. Nadia and the rest of the groups, those that they were in the same group. And then mistakenly, they didn't announce your, by the way that I gave your mark initially to them. So I hope that the problem was solved. The same thing, we're going to be on time when we are announcing the marks at the end of the semester. But these are the things that I want you to do for your group project. As you can see, I shared this project with you here. You have to write an executive summary of what you have learned as a group in the course of covering first 7 chapters and how you are going to apply it to your career. Okay, so the requirements that I want you to have in your basically report will be this: your essays, reports should be no more than 10 pages. As you can see, I'm not looking for high number of pages. I want a high quality work. So 10 pages is enough, and not less than 8. Okay, font type is Times New Roman, and font size is 12. You need to use practical and real application, and imaginary and fake data is not acceptable. This is really important that you have to pay attention. Each group should not exceed 5 members and not less than 4 members. Each group should not exceed 5 members and not less. As I told you, you have to start sending your group members by the group leader to me. Please do it as soon as possible. Make sure I have your group members already. Then in future, you won't have any difficulty being seated in any group. Each group should have a group leader, as I told you, and group leader is going to be in charge as usual. From sending the group names to the assignment submission up to the end of the semester. Assignments are due by week 8. And please email it to me at, as you see, rashad@gmail.com. These are 2 other notes that you need to know. Assignments will be scored by the practicality and authenticity of the essay. It's really important how practical your report is, as well as authenticity definitely is going to be taken into consideration. And late submission for 1 week will cost you 25%, and total assessment mark and late submission, which is more than a week, won't be accepted. That is for your own knowledge. I have sent all of these materials, project detail, as well as your all of the chapters to your emails account. I do believe you have received it. Please let me know whether you have received it or not. Please, yeah, go through them. And again, any chapter, this is business economics. You may have more questions. You may ask it in the class. Definitely, I would be delighted to answer. There are some questions here. Mr. Shafullah said that we have group and our group member or group leader. Yeah, Mr. Najib. If your group leader is Mr. Okay, the name totally was changed when it came to the second thing. Najib. Okay, Mr. Najib is the group leader. So please ask Mr. Najib to send me an email and announcing who's going to be in your group and basically all of the group members. Our group leader is Ms. Nadia. Oh, yeah. Please, what you do is send me an email. Rather than writing it down here, it's good to let me know. That is perfect, but please send me that email. When are you going to send us? Mr. Asadullah Ahmadi, I already have sent you the slides. I do believe you have received it. The email address and the student names that I received at the beginning of semester, I used it last basically class, after class, and I have sent it all the slides. Please let me know, guys, if you received the slides or not. Is there anybody in the class who didn't receive? Mr. Ahmadi. So Okay, no problem. You can send me anytime, as well as this is before next session. And another thing, okay, first of all, let me know whether you have received the slides or not. Miss Nadia, Mr. Nisar, Miss Vida, Mr. Shakurullah, Mr. Riyaz, whether you received my slides or not. Yeah, Miss Vida Sami, is it possible for you to get Mr. Ahmadi email address and forward the slides to Mr. Ahmadi? That would be great. Okay, perfect, Miss Vida. So please, Mr. Ahmadi, please write down your email address over there. Miss Vida will send you the slide. Thank you, Miss Vida. Miss Vida, sorry. Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay. Uh, Please let me know if there is any question. If not, we can follow the day. Yeah, Mr. Asadullah has written his email address. So Miss Vida is here. You are there, please. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy, Mr. Nuristani. You enjoy the class. You weren't as yeah, okay. I would be happy to have you more activated in the class, but it's good to know that you enjoy the class. Anybody else? Did you enjoy the class? Was the whole concepts clear? Everybody? Mr. Muhammad Sahab, Mr. Javed Ayumi, yes, please let me know. Okay. Please do not hesitate to ask questions if you feel this is economics. That is going to be more complicated. I do understand that. I do know that. So I would be happy if I can help you to grasp the whole concept better in a more convenient way. Okay, I'm happy that the feedbacks are all motivating and encouraging. Yes, it is a little bit hard, Mr. Mohammed Saab, because that is going to have that logical, qualitative analysis behind that. So that makes it a little bit different. Mr. Shakur said, yes, sir, I have made several times to admin team regarding my marks for operation management because I have not received yet, but my group members receive it. If could discuss this issue with admin team. Mm, okay, I was on private side. Supposed to be, but okay, yeah, I'll do my best if I can do anything. Um, Usually these things actually are, we are not really discussing things like that, but then if I can do anything, I will be happy. I just, if I happen to talk anytime soon with the admin, I try to, did you send proper emails to them and they didn't respond anything? Yeah, Mr. Saab, no problem. You can ask any question if you have next time. Uh, okay. Okay, so I try to see how can I take care of that. No problem, Mr. Mahmoud. You can go read the whole slide, see if there's any part you want any a little bit more clarification on it. You can definitely ask. Uh, Thank you all, guys, for your attendance and your patience. So I hope you enjoyed it. That is the finishing point for our second chapter and second class. If you don't have any other question, have a perfect night. See you next week.